Hey guys, so I drove by my local mantle shop again to check their trash pile, and I found this nice big chunk of beech. Apparently, I only saw this. Apparently, the mantle itself they were selling for over $800, and I just snagged it. But I looked at the bottom, and oh, this amazing spalting. It's a good heavy piece. It's got some cracking, some good checking, but I think we can address that, no problem. And anyway, I'm really excited to see what we can do with this, and let's get going. So I wanted to have a faceplate on here for sure, just because of the weight of this blank. Getting it around that large crack was a lot of fun. So I definitely could have some good stability. This piece started off at about 12 inches across by 6 inches deep. Definitely sturdy. And but aside from the cracks and the checking, it didn't seem like it was going to be too much of a problem. So just kind of jumped right in and started getting it into round and seeing what I felt like I wanted the shape to end up. As I did more and more rounding, that really great spalting started really kind of jumping out more. It was really fun to kind of go a little more, and see what this piece of wood was going to offer me. Some of these cracks along here were starting to give me a little bit of anxiety, but typically not too scared. I figure it's going to be what it's going to be. So let's just keep moving along and see what it actually, if it actually turns out to be an issue or not. Many times we can turn past them. Many times they're not that hard to correct or to blend in when it comes right down to it. So I decided that I hadn't decided on the outside shape entirely yet, but I did decide that I wanted to have sort of a large foot area, because when the actual shape was done and it was sitting on a table, I wanted to make sure that it looked like it was sitting up above the table. Starting to kind of cut that foot in so it sort of mirrors the outside shape of the bowl itself. I was trying also just to keep it in round, or get it into round, and not really take too much size away from this blank. Definitely want to establish a good wide tenon on here, because in some of the larger pieces I've turned in the past, I ended up doing a real small tenon, and it, makes it a little harder for the chucks to hold it. So gonna cut that foot in just a little bit more so it seems to complement the shape of the outside of the bowl a little bit better. A little bit of scraping with my skew to blend things and get rid of some tool marks. And again, still kind of checking for cracks. I had to kind of dig out some of the specs because these cracks along the outside were actually rather deep. And initially, I was going to just try to fill with CA glue, with black CA. It stained terribly and it didn't fill well enough. So what I did was mix up some 5-minute epoxy, and I used some of the shavings dust in there so the color would kind of match, and I ended up filling those larger cracks with that material instead. That ended up working out a whole lot better than just, keep putting in more CA and more CA and more CA. So just give this about 10-15 minutes to really cure up, and went through and used a scraper to just remove that excess epoxy resin from the outside, and then I could kind of move on to my sanding. Go to up to about a 400 grit, and with use all the different grits, and then I go through with my fine steel wool and Scotch pads. This is a little bit of isopropyl alcohol just to raise the grain before I use the Scotch pads and the steel wool. Then to really give it a finer finish, I used some of the Axe abrasive paste and turned up the speed a little bit to give it a really smooth finish when all was said and done. So happy with that for now, and we'll see about getting this turned around and put in the chuck to start working on the hollowing process and working on the inside. Initially, or earlier, I had said that about a large tenon. I meant a mortise. I ended up using that large recess in the back to really secure this on there. I definitely wasn't trusting that smaller tenon, so apologize for that. Every time I stopped to have a peek, I'm just kind of trying to figure out what's going to have to happen with these cracks. And I knew that I was going to be addressing these because, look, this was a beautiful piece of wood on what was probably a very expensive mantle that they tossed. And they tossed it for a reason, because a lot of it was pith and it showed a lot of cracks and checking, and it wasn't something they could sell. So when I get these pieces from the trash pile, I know that I'm going to be addressing some of these issues, but that's okay. As long as I'm not too OCD and things have to be exactly perfect, it works out great. There was one decent crack running through the center of this. You'll see it as I stop, and that did give me some pause. As it turns out, for the most part, I was able to just kind of keep going, and most of it turned away. So that was lucky, and I'll take it. Going to establish a depth now, and again, trying to my thought with this was that it's, like a large, fruit bowl to sit on the counter, that kind of thing. So I wanted to keep it nice and wide, but I wasn't trying to make this thing, 6 inches deep, because it's not very practical. Wood turned great. No issues. Really very, very little punky spots at all. Any of the tear out, to be quite honest, was user error on my part, and not necessarily the wood so much. Me being a little bit too aggressive with my cuts. Now we'll just try to get get everything smooth and feeling like it's a good interior design. That negative rake scraper seems to help quite a lot. The inside cracks, I did just do the CA. These are the ones that I filled with the epoxy resin, the 5-minute. They literally went all the way through, but because the outside was sealed up with epoxy, I could just use a little bit of black CA. Worked out great, and the black lines I created seemed to kind of match with the spalting. So we'll do my initial sanding and up to about 400 grit again, and get some isopropyl alcohol on it to raise the grain, get rid of all that dust, and also get a little peek at what it's going to look like. Let that dry, and then onto the steel wool and medium Scotch pad, fine Scotch pad, before I do any kind of sanding paste or anything like that. More of the Axe abrasive paste to give us about 1,000 grit finish when all is said and done. Get our speed up a little bit, and kind of keep wiping with clean portions of your paper towel till you don't see any product on there at all. So now we need to get this turned around. I definitely did not want to leave the foot looking like that. I knew I could do something a little nicer, so I decided to kind of cut it in a bit. And it'll still give me a high look when it's sitting on the table, but it can be a little nicer, a little sleeker on the bottom there when somebody turns it over, and still give me the same effect. So that's what I did. I left that interior portion because that will be just the right size for my branding emblem and be a little different than anything I've done in the past. Quick sand, and then also the steel wool and Scotch pads and a little abrasive paste also to bring out the color and make it match with the rest. Really want to thank everybody for taking their time to watch. Please stick around after to the end. The finished photos will be up last, and please leave your comments and suggestions in the bottom. I really enjoy reading those and responding back to everybody. Have a great day.